Hello, and welcome to the PBR Pipe Pack product overview. I know, a little bit of a mouthful. So I decided to do the product overview and the tutorial in the same video because it's such a small product. It's a budget product, so this is perfect if you don't want to buy a whole entire asset pack with tons of pipes and your level does not revolve around pipes. Okay, so this is perfect if your level has pipes, but you don't need like such a huge variety of them. So we have just the basic pipes. So first of all, let me get the obvious out of the way. We have everything color coded, so the files integral to these to this project are in the in the normal colored ones, and the slightly darker ones are just the support files such as the placeholders and the level textures, which I'm sure you have your own level, so you don't. This is only so I can show you, right? So I didn't have to like have some kind of white or off-white background or meshes, right? Level meshes. So we have the textures, the meshes, obviously, the materials, again, slightly darker, and we have the level assets, very obviously color-coded in yellow, plus blueprints, but we're gonna get there in time. So first of all, let me show you all the types of pipes we have in this. First of all, they are all double-sided on this side. So you'll notice that it says double-sided. I'll explain that later. But for now, let me show you that we have small, medium, and large. They are also clearly named. So, for example, this says L for large. This has M for medium. And this one obviously has S for small. And they are labeled as such here, right? Let's move on. So there is two varieties for repetition, just so it doesn't look like it's repeated. And what you can actually do is just rotate them, and that gives you a little bit of more variation. So when you run out of angles here on this side, you just rotate them, and then you can put another one from this side. So they are labeled as 1 and 2. So obviously they are like 2 or 1, and they are small, medium, and large. So let's move on. We have also junctions. Again, it's a very simple asset pack, so we only have T junctions, and I don't know what these are called. I'm not a plumber, but I just call them plus junctions or cross junctions. I don't know what junction, just a junction here. I forgot what I called them. Next, we have valves, which is what we need the blueprints for. And these blueprints have the wheel separated, and they have the body separated, right? So let's move, let's actually open them. There is no actual innards here. So I'm actually going to delete this stuff just so it's not confusing. And yeah, there is no functionality. That's for you to add. It's not too complex. You can look for some tutorial online. I just don't know what you want to be adding to these to this project. So I just left this blank. All right. So just so you know, there is nothing there, right? But you can actually move it independently, right? In case you want to animate it. All right. Next we have elbows. We have elbows. We have broken pipes, which they can, I'll explain later why it looks red. We have broken pipes. We have broken and bent pipes. So they are not only broken, they are also bent out of shape because of some accident. I don't know. There is bursted pipes. And finally, we have some nice wall clamps. Again, it's a very simple asset pack, so it's just ceiling clamps, which are these, the U-shaped ones, and there's these ones that clamp your thing to the wall, your your pipe to the wall. Now, why are these double-sided pipes? Because we have single-sided pipes too. And why do you want double-sided pipes? Like, for example, this ones, we can't have them single-sided because obviously you would be able to see through the inside, so there's no sense in making these single-sided. But these ones, you may want them to have them just like that. You may want them to have them on a truck, or you want to have them before being installed, so that's what they are here. But once they are installed, they are on your walls, in your level, it makes no sense to waste polygons on the inside, so that's why we have them only single-sided. So from the outside, you can see them pretty okay, and if you need them, like, if you need to see them from the inside, you could just simply put one of these and then one of these. Anyway, moving on. Obviously there is junctions, there is straight, there is valves as well. There's elbows. And you'll notice that there is no broken pipes because the broken pipes don't need anything, or rather they do need something inside. I'm sorry, I'm kind of a little bit sick, so I apologize for whatever changes in my voice you can actually notice. Moving on, we have pipe materials, because of course we do. I'm a material artist, and that is the most important part. So we have non-dynamic and dynamic, which this is the mostly the meat and potatoes of this good old asset pack. So now let's go back to why there is some red stuff here. And the main explanation is because your pipes exploded. And if the explosion is fresh, you still want some, some reddish, because you may want to have some fire shooting out this side. You may want some steam. I don't know. So obviously, if it's water, it shouldn't be red hot, because it would be it wouldn't look that good. Anyway, so let's open it and let me show you how this works. Okay, so here we are, and I'll explain this later, but for now we have emission strength. Right, so we have emission strength. Right now it's very, very, very low, but we can have up to I don't know, 50, and it's super, super, super hot. And you can go all the way back to 0, and it's off. It's completely cold. I put it on 0.2 because that's what looked best for me, but you can put whatever you want, and you can make a blueprint and dynamically animate it. Now you'll notice this material is still in the non-dynamic category, but because it's still, you still would need to animate this red hot effect, I decided to just leave it right there and give you that functionality. Now, why do we have dynamic and non-dynamic? Because we want cheap materials, and sometimes you don't need more than this. You don't need more than this or that or any of these. You don't want any rust. You don't want anything crazy, and that's fine. That's all right. But you'll see that the difference, it gets closer to quote unquote bad for these guys right here, because yeah, most of these are cheap because they are the cheap materials. But in case you want control over some other parts, let me show you what you can do. It's really cool. So like I said, with these ones, the material is super simple. There's not a lot of options and you don't need them. But you do get the option of changing the pipe color, for example, right? And the valves as well. The valve have their own color scheme. I think this is the one, right? No, it's not. Excuse me. Let me actually... Okay, it's paint rusted. Right. So you can change the valve to whatever you want. You can change the pipe color to whatever you want. Maybe it's a pipe for flammable stuff, so it should be red, or maybe you want it green. I don't know. Maybe it's blue. Who cares? It still looks really cool. Now, designer's tip, a professional designer's tip: if it's all completely old, if it's very, very, very worn off, color also fades. So you should just desaturate it just a little bit, because if you want a red color, I mean fire engine red, it just doesn't look realistic because color tends to fade over time. And if it looks like this, it's like you just painted it and started beating the crap out of it. And that doesn't look realistic. So what we like to do is just desaturate it just a little bit, make it a little bit darker. That looks absolutely brilliant. All right, let's move on. So it's the same story with all of these. I mean, this one, for example, you can change the color of the pipe. So you get some kind of anodized blue or even gold, I guess. But actually, you should... you can see some... I'm glad I looked at it. Okay, so you may see some of these blotches. That's because the mask corresponds to a different one. So you may want to use... If you don't have chipped metal, you want to use paint, and there you go. Problem solved. This mats, by the way, they are very different from one another. Okay. You'll notice some of them, or rather all of them, have some missing material here. That's because they are from here. As you can see, there is some material missing from there from the explosion, right? All right, let's just move on. Actually, I'm going to be changing those. Yeah, I'm just gonna change those here, just so so you don't get any nasty surprises. I'm glad I caught it in time. Alright, so fixed in all versions. By the way, there is versions for 5.1. I skipped 5.2 because it's almost the same and I didn't want to download it. If you really want it, comment down below or at the product page. Let me know if you want some... if you want me to add that version. I don't think it's needed because you can just export from 5.1. really, it's just that simple. There is nothing crazy going on. There is no crazy stuff in the blueprint. You can just download it, then upgrade the project to 5.2, and that's it. There's nothing to it. Anyway, moving on. What else? Right. So we need to address something very important, and that's the valves. The valves actually, yeah, they are not going to be very helpful because you can actually make them, you can actually put the material you want on them. So you can have a new valve on a old body, or vice versa, or you can have a what's the name of the metal, brass valve on a painted body. Anyway, you can do whatever you want. So that's why I didn't put so much attention on valves and bodies together, because I always had meant them to be separated. But if you do need on a pinch and you don't want to take the files out of the engine and edit them just so you can mismatch a chipped body with a new valve, or a chipped valve with a new body, or a painted valve on a brass body, or vice versa, because I didn't have time to create all of these crazy permutations. If you need something very specific, you're gonna have to get it yourself. It's not too much work. You can just copy paste. But all that said, if you are pressed for time, the non-dynamic materials have you covered, because they are both cheap, as you can see. They are both cheap, and they are also ready to use. You can just slap those materials on your on your thing, change the colors that you need, and move on. And move on we shall, because we are going to address the dynamic materials, which I'm very proud of. I absolutely love these Modular jammers. So let's start with Paint Dirty. So we have Paint Dirty. Let me close the other ones. So we're going to be looking at Paint Dirty. So what's so dirty about it? So we have dirt amount. You can have new, or you can have completely dirty. That depends on how dirty you want it. I want it super dirty. You can also change the amount of rust from completely rusted to hell to pretty much no rust. And something that you should know about these materials is that there is actually more than there's a whole lot more than what you're seeing right now on screen. And by that I mean, check it out. There's more. There's a ton of these guys. There's a ton of textures, and what you can actually do is the paint. You can see the paint. Hold on, let me clean it. You can see the paint a little bit pitted. You can see the paint a little bit oldish, a little bit damaged. Well, you can actually come here to paint, right? And you have paint and paint new. So you can drag this here, and voila, your paint has been just painted. Again, I just didn't have the space or the time or all this. That's why this this project is very cheap, because there's a fair amount of do-it-yourself, but it works to your advantage because you can get so much customization. And if you don't need all that customization, I got you covered as well, fam. All right, so let's move on with paint light rust, which is very similar to paint dirty. You can actually just use paint dirty there. Actually, I don't like to change, because this is actually the stuff that you'll end up getting, so let's leave it back to where it was. But now you know how to edit it, right? Super simple. Let's move on with paint light rust. Slightly different from paint dirty, actually, and that's because, again, we have a little bit of a different different setup, because we have an under metal, so you can have, actually, you can even I mean, I wasn't planning to, but you can actually brass clean. Just use brass dirty here. You can actually have brass underneath. See? Really cool. This is one of my favorites, excuse me. You can, again, you can have like the metal you shouldn't mess with, just regular metal. There's only one normal map. But for the paint, like we said, we have paint new, which it has it here, or you can just use the old paint, which has no old quote unquote suffix. The AO is they all share the same AO, and they all share the same emission, so there's no difference between all of those, because why shouldn't there be? But yeah, this is really cool, because there is under under paint, excuse me, under metal, I don't know what to call it, it's just the bare metal under the paint, so you can edit that, and you have control over that, and then you have the paint on top of that, which is super helpful. And obviously you have the rust amount, which you can rust it to hell, or you can have very low amount of rust, or you can have something in the middle. It's very chunky rust, by the way. 0.01. There we go. Really cool. And likewise, with this paint heavy rust, kind of similar, kind of the same thing, except the bare metal underneath, it's right here. Instead of being just in metal, it's right here in rust. And the actual, let me in fact just take the rust amount to nearly 0, so you can look at the actual rust underneath. It's super freaking rusted underneath the paint, so you can see the rust quote unquote shining through, if you can see it there, right? Okay. And again, you can also change the paint to from chipped to that, or to new, or something like that. All right. You got so many options, and there is another one here, which is for, oh my god, paint rusted, which is kind of the same, almost the same. There's a few key differences. And so that's heavy rust. And again, you can rust it completely, or you can just have it halfway rusted. All right. Next we have metal. Again, this is one of my favorites. I so wanted to make the rust also that you could just change the color of the rust, because what stops you? Well, turns out realism does. So let me show you here. The rust is on a separate layer, and let me zoom in. And as you can see, there's color variations that correspond with the areas that are they have the thickest rust, which are yellowish, and the or rather, no, the parts that are the most rusted, like super rusted, about to fall off, they are the deepest red, and the areas that are that have the most superficial rust and the newest rust, these are in yellow. And obviously there is kind of the opposite for the for the brass rust. So it looks kind of different. It's a different kind of rust, so therefore the colors are a little bit different. The layout of the colors is a little bit different. Anyway, yes, it's a different thing. Moving on. So again, we have rust amount. You can rust it to hell or just have no rust. Plus, you can have no rust and no dirt. And you can actually improve the look on this thing with the metal, not the metal, the normal map, which we could just paint one, paint new, and you can barely tell the difference because this is actually cast iron. So because this is cast iron, it tends to just look like that. And this one, actually, let me open it here. Yeah. And this one, same story, brass, and where are we? We can rust it to hell or unrust it and undirty. And obviously we all have, on all of these, we have emission strength, which you can see here because we're only showing this one little thing. And that's it. That's pretty much it. And actually, let me show you something else. There we go. Beautiful. So let's say you want to build something. So let's start with... Oh, okay. So let's use this one. This guy right here. Actually, we want to... They are all designed in increments of 50 Unreal units. So we're going to be using that. So that's one. Let's use two just for variation's sake. All right. So immediately they connect together. And again, I'm sorry. These are not going. We are not going to be seeing the inside. So let's use these ones. So that we're using one, and then we're gonna use number two. They connect immediately. Yes, perfect. Yeah, and then we want to. Where is the big one? The big guy. And by the way, you could just whether you're using cheap materials or you're using the dynamic materials, you can just simply like duplicate it. Oops. You can just duplicate it and change slightly the amount of rust, the color variation just a little bit, just for that cool realism. So again, let's move on right here. So let's take an elbow, right? Super simple. Right there. Okay. And then have it like that. Then like that. Then another elbow. And now, since they are very close together, what we could actually do is maybe... what is this? Okay. Just... Oops. Okay, hold on. Right. So we could just do that. and do this. And then have that and those. And since they are looking a little bit repetitive, let's just in separate directions. And maybe here we could just add one of these. Actually, not one of these. We could add one of these blueprints, and there is EMT means empty. So let's add one of these right here, and you have it done. What you can also do, actually, if you are going to, like, if this is going to be causing some kind of trouble, what you could do, like here we're introducing this little thing, like we're introducing half a unit because, hold on, two valves make one section of pipe. So maybe you don't want to, like, introduce that little bit of chaos, which is fine. You could introduce that little bit of chaos. You could introduce that little bit of chaos right there. But what you could actually do is just make it slightly bigger. And 0.1. There you go. Not really a great idea, but you could do that because you have those little holes. But I mean, it kind of solves a problem. All right. Actually, I'm going to hold on. I'm going to import another. I'm going to rather export a version with that kind of thing, just so you don't have to faff around with. Hold on. All right, so we're back, and I decided to add these ones called mid. So these are for mid sections, and they are going to be easy to install, I guess, implement. So you'll notice they are here, but they are not here. That's because we don't want to bloat the project with those kinds of things. So we're just going to add whatever, this one, for example. And I actually forgot, I was testing and I forgot to. Okay, so we're right here. This is where we want it. Okay, cool. So we select this main mesh, go like that. We just search mid, MID. There we go. That's it. It's right there. Obviously, there is no dirt, so you may want to add some kind of what do you call these things? Decals there. Maybe add some rust or something like that. But at least you have that option that now you can add a one of these guys, or a valve, wherever you want in your thing, without in your pipeline, I guess it would be called. And where are you? There you are. Beautiful. I'll just add this one. And just like that, it's right there. It's done. Again, you could do that if you don't mind that type of thing, or what you could do is also okay, so we need to take it back to the normal one, right? So what we could do is also add one of these. and maybe hide it like that into the wall or something like that. I don't know. It's up to you. It's a very, very simple. It's a very simple asset pack. So, you know. Actually, we could add one of these. Oops, that's the wrong size. Bam, bam. Then we could add another one like that, and like that. Cool. Problem fixed. This, again, this asset pack is only going to work for you if your level is not revolving around pipes. Obviously, if you want to do boiler rooms, you're better off with a different pack. I may or not have, depending on how this one performs. Like, obviously, I have to pay bills, I have to pay rent, I have to buy food, you know, all that stuff, all that good stuff. I need to do it, and well, I can't do it if I don't have any money. So this is what I do for a living. And if it doesn't sell, it does not make any sense at all for me to invest my time into making updates upon updates and adding stuff to these things. And also, if there's no people paying attention to this stuff, it also makes no sense for me to work doing these things. But there you have it, the PBR pipe pack. If you are considering purchasing it, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. If you like my content, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. The YouTube algorithm is super harsh. It's been super harsh with my stuff, so it's kind of a little bit hard to succeed in this particular climate, especially with AI raging around. Anyway, thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for your purchase if you are considering to do so. So have a nice day. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.